S-D-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Hey, from Toronto and Sweden and Toronto, it's us. Back in our pandemic squares here.
Yeah.
Pandemic squares. It's, it's funny. I was saying to Jesse beforehand, when we on the video side of the show, if you're watching it, you'll see us in our heads in the three squares. And I remember when we switched to Zoom for the first time over the pandemic, people were like, how come? And we were like, because it's a pandemic. And then when we switched back 18 months later and had our own studio for the first time in my basement, they were like, man, I missed the squares. So here you are.
Yeah, because there was people who discovered us during 2020.
Yes.
And all they knew was the square boxes that we are in and us doing it from our homes. And then when we were actually in person, they're like, what is this?
They didn't
You
know
guys know each other?
They didn't know the Fan 590 studios. They didn't know the Purelator truck Bell Media studios.
Oh, the Purelator truck. That's a throwback.
Steven?
Yeah, you guys missed it. We did not.
No.
I met a bunch of people who said they got into us during the pandemic yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's great. That's great. And listen, we've kind of been following along. Jesse and I have intentionally not asked Steve as much as possible because we didn't want to wreck the surprises. So, like, how is it, man?
Right. Dude, it's amazing. Can't breathe through my nose because the air is extremely dry. But other than that, like, dude, it's the tap water mecca of the world, first of all. It is absolutely you know what? Right there. It's absolutely fantastic tap water in Sweden.
Okay.
Great.
Is there a reason for that?
I think it's the glaciers. I think it's everything to do with the Arctic and the subarctic. It's an extremely well-traveled event.
He knows.
Drew and I were laughing like we thought we would meet way more Swedish people. Like everyone is. I think we rattled off like 16 different countries we've met people from.
Wow. Cool.
Basically every nation in the UK. France, Czechia, Lithuania, Poland, Germany, just an unbelievable amount of people. Every fan base is well traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like just Leaf fans or just Red Wings fans or anything.
I saw a guy dressed
really
in a full.
Excited.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's okay. Like everyone's really excited, but in a very Swedish way. Like this is it. It's so clean, and it's except for today, because it's Saturday here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it's Saturday there now too.
It's also Saturday.
Drew and I have been so confused about the time, but everyone's just really quiet.
Oh,
everyone's just really quiet and kind of keeps to themselves. And on Saturday, they're like, oh, let's go shopping. And then they go shopping. But like other than that, it's just a beautiful, trash-free, quiet place.
I think my favorite very Swedish reaction to things was William Nylander's grandmother sitting and just kind of gently clapping when he scored that big goal to tie it up. Like she was very, by the way, her fashion sense on point. My wife, Natalie, was like, she's like, yeah, that's how I want to dress when I'm that age. And I want to look like that too.
I've seen at least 2 men in tuxedos.
Really?
Wow.
They were just sitting at a restaurant.
No.
Yeah. How many members of the Nylander
I don't
family?
know what that's about.
How many members of the Nylander family have you met?
0. But I will tell you the one thing I don't like about Sweden, and it's starting to piss me off.
What's that?
Is I've taken a lot of pictures with people, and I'm the shortest person in almost every photo.
Yeah. They're kind of all tall, blonde, and
almost
gorgeous, aren't
every
they?
Photo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Sweden, like lots known for really just ugly people. No, dude, like it's
and
just
mean.
Everyone is like a 6'3" supermodel, and it's like you wouldn't even need to hear me speak to know I'm a tourist. You're like, I think the pudgy guy might not be from here. Turns out.
I want to know,
Yeah,
like, what sorts of things have you done as a fan? Because I know they have a fan fest. You were skating today, and then you've been at all the games. So what kind of extracurricular stuff have you done besides the games?
I didn't get on the ice today. I was just taking a picture of that, but I desperately want to. People at the fan fest, we were like shooting interviews with people, and a couple people just like skated by us, and they're like, "Do you want to get me breaking on camera?" And we're like, "What?" This dude, it's like a circle. There's a statue in the middle of this ice pad. This dude doesn't even get through the first 25% of the loop, and I'm like, he's gonna kill some child. Like he's just gonna completely run them over. He goes so friggin' fast and just like right in front of our camera. Some kid saw it and they're like, "Do you want to see me break?" And so we're gonna get a ton of B-roll of that. We've just eaten all of Stockholm.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had the best, dude. The Swedish meatballs with the lingonberry, extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to Italy because this is the best pizza I've ever had, like place to place to place.
Wow.
The bread is goated. The garlic bread is goated. I have never brushed my teeth this much in my entire life because everything is onions and garlic.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, everything is onions and garlic, and like I had to think about it, and I was like, yesterday I was like, I've brushed my teeth 5 times today.
Wow.
And like I think that might have been before bed. So like yeah, it was like half a dozen times just because like I don't know how you go on a date here other than like maybe you just
well, if you both have had onions and garlic, you don't smell it.
Yeah,
right?
you're kind of even.
Yeah. I remember
just rub your garlic tongues together.
On breakfast television, we used to have what we called Whopper Wednesday. So as soon as Burger King would open, the entire staff would order a burger at 8 a.m.
Oh.
And I'd have to do my hit with Dina. And it would just reek. And she was like, "Listen, I'm Italian. I don't mind." And that's what Kevin would be out there complaining, and Dina would be like, "It doesn't matter to me. I don't mind the stench. It's good. Reminds me of home." So Steve, I got to ask you this because I want to know about the Zibanejad burger because I know you went to the restaurant. It was like the first thing that you did. The number 93. How's it taste?
Again. Onions, baby onions. It should be called the Chuck Swirsky burger. It is, it was really good, but it's funny. Like where Drew and I are like walking into walls. We have no idea what time it is. And our first night in Sweden, we're just like, oh, Brodernass, whatever that is. It says pizza and burgers. Let's just walk in. And we see there's a Zibanejad burger. And we're like, oh, I guess like the place is just a fan of Zibanejad. And then we see like a couple other things on the menu that have to do with Zibanejad. And then we look up on the wall and there's Mika Zibanejad. And so we Googled it and like there's this whole thing. Like Brodernass is partially owned by Mika Zibanejad. And the article that we found was there's a hockey team in Sweden. I can't remember which one it is, but they bought a steak in the restaurant, not like a meal steak. Like they bought part ownership of the restaurant. Or the chain of restaurants, because there's lots of them. And people were pissed off because Mika Zibanejad came up through the Djurgården system, which is the team that I believe Matt Sundin co-owns.
That's right.
Gabriel Landeskog played there. Lots of players have played there. But people were mad that he would sell to like a rival team. And he had to release a statement like, Djurgården is my only Swedish hockey team. Like, they're my only Swedish hockey love. Yeah. But anyway, the burger was delicious.
Oh, it was good? Yeah, okay.
That's funny. You know,
you haven't visited
a bad meal yet.
You haven't visited IKEA yet?
No, dude. Drew was getting messages from all of his buddies because he posted a picture of the Swedish meatballs that we had, and they're like, "Oh, are you at IKEA?" He's like, "No, I'm in actual Sweden. Like it's a meatball the size of your fist."
Okay.
Like, they don't give you that in IKEA, bud.
Quick
Maybe
question.
they do here. I don't know. I haven't checked that out.
By the way, they do have Swedish meatballs at IKEA. They even have that in Toronto. But I want to ask you because Drew, of any person that I know, has the worst culinary takes of all time. So I want to know how he
Yes.
reacted to Swedish meatballs. Is it like he took a bite and was like, no, I'd rather eat a ketchup sandwich, or like what was his thing?
Yes, Drew and Travis Yost have the worst food
Oh,
takes of all
Travis,
time, but
yes.
he's actually been a very good boy and actually, Travis is shocking. He's like, oh yeah, motor oil as a dipping sauce for pizza. It's delicious. No, Drew's has been a good boy, and he said everything's been delicious. Everything's been delicious, right? Oh my God, this guy's just on his Nintendo DS, right?
Really?
Behind the laptop.
DS. He doesn't have a
He's just on his
Switch.
Nintendo
Why
DS.
doesn't he have a Switch?
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that your DS or your Switch? It's the Switch. I'm an
Yeah.
idiot.
What are
Sorry.
you talking
What game? What game?
Yeah, it's not 1999. My bad.
Yeah.
What was that?
What game?
What'd you say?
What game?
What game? What is it?
Mario, what? How can
Mario
I hear
Wonder.
it?
Yeah, I
And
heard that.
I can hear him, Steve. What's wrong with your ears?
I don't know. These are really good. These are noise canceling.
These are it's funny because Steve's on a bit of a delay, so there's going to be some delays in here. I mean, you would
in Sweden.
He's in Sweden.
You
It's-
can expect a little bit of a
yeah,
delay.
yeah, it's difficult. We're not like equipped like CNN is to have even them. It's like, well, that's right, Jim. There's like a pause, so that's sort of how the episode's going to be. Now, Steve, obviously, you were able to watch the Ottawa-Detroit game on Friday. We'll talk about the Leafs game in a second here, but the problem from our end is that we weren't. It was a major issue in Canada. Legally, we were not allowed to watch it. Yeah. And what happened, Jesse? You did a whole thing on this on the Jesse Blake Sports Report. Can you sort of talk about a little bit what the hell happened?
Sure. Yeah, because all Ottawa Senators games that air on TSN are blacked out. Like, this has been a thing all year long, but because this is a global series game, hockey fans kind of expected and were under the impression that this would be a national game.
You mean a global series game? You would expect that it's in the name.
That it would be a national game airing on Sportsnet and it would be available to everybody. But the game on Friday also counted as a regional game, so it was only available to the Ottawa Senators region only. So if you're in the Toronto area and you try and watch it on TSN, it is blacked out.
Now, if you're in Vancouver, it's the same thing. If you're in Halifax, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's blacked out. And there's certain exceptions. Like, there are certain pockets where you can get it on the there's certain subscription tier on Sportsnet Plus. Like, there's an ultimate package where you can skip some blackouts and that sort of stuff. But the majority of fans, to be honest, don't have that, and they have their TSN package or whatever, and they can't see it. So yeah, a lot of fans were expecting to watch that game on Friday, but it turned out to be a regular regional Ottawa Senators game.
Yeah, I think,
and same for the game today.
So
yeah, so this is the thing is that I believe
can you help
Sportsnet.
me understand that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So help me understand that. So I at home, I have a subscription to TSN, like through cable. I have a subscription to Sportsnet, but it doesn't matter that I had the subscription. It's just if I'm trying to watch in Toronto, it's blacked out.
Yes. Yeah. All Ottawa Senators games on TSN have been blocked out all year. Yeah, they're regional games, the ones
That's
they
nonsense.
air on. And now with the ones that are played by Winnipeg or Vancouver, that even the ones like by Vancouver that are outside of a Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, those are national games. Those can air to everybody. If it's a Tuesday in Vancouver on Sportsnet West, that's blacked out for us as well. It's happened to me several times this year.
Now, it's interesting.
That's outdated nonsense.
Well, it's outdated nonsense, and it's also Sportsnet refusing to pick up the TSN feed and running it on their app. That's what it is. And
also outdated nonsense.
Part of it is that Sportsnet has the national rights. So if Sportsnet wanted to, they could pick this game up like they do with American games and run the feed directly from TSN.
See, I don't know if they could do it now because it's written into their contract.
It is.
I think that would have had to been established back in 2013.
Yes. So interestingly enough, a friend of ours, his name's Adam Seaborn, tweets about the media a lot in Canada, and he said that the next contract in Canada in a couple of years will have flexible rules on regional blackouts. The reason they have regional blackouts, by the way, in case you're not understanding, and I don't blame you because it's kind of boring. Sportsnet bought the national hockey package. I think 70 Leaf games are national games and only about 12 of them are regional games. And it's because the Leafs are a big draw across the country and you can make a lot of money that way. A team like Ottawa, which is a little bit more localized, although there's Sens fans everywhere. They want to keep that regional because A, that's the package that TSN bought, and B, it's for local commercials. So maybe you won't see as much from like the Bay or Honda, but you'll see like a local garage or a local restaurant or whatever. That is the prevailing idea. That was relevant in the 80s and relevant in the 90s. But as soon as the internet and streaming and all that stuff kind of came into in the 2010s, it became irrelevant, and it's a relic of the past. And the issue is, Adam tweeting that was great, that, the next package will have flexible rules on this. The issue, guys, is they can fix it right now by having some foresight and saying, hey, for these games, the expectation is it's available nationally. The problem is we don't have enough people employed in Canada to look after that stuff. These media companies are severely understaffed. And number two, the NHL probably isn't thrilled about it, but they're not willing to do anything about it because it's a problem from 2 years from now. So what it forces people to do is find streams on the internet, which may or may not lead to pop-ups on their computer. Believe me, people don't want to stream illegally if they can help it. And the reality of the situation is they can fix this right now. They can fix this now.
They would have to amend contracts to fix it.
And contract addendums happen all the time.
Yeah,
you can do that.
I think it's a problem that we cause a stink about, and then when the TV contracts are up, they'll hopefully drop something. And like what I was advocating for is, I hope one of the streamers comes by and buys one of the NHL rights and just creates the ultimate package where you're a fan, you can go on the Apple app or you go on Amazon Prime and you get every NHL game, and it's so simple and it's so easy. Or it's YouTube TV or whatever. Because that one-stop solution should be how it is moving forward. And I was watching the F1 qualifying race from Vegas that happened overnight, and F1 has a thing called F1 TV, and it's the simplest thing in the world. It's one app where all of the races are available. There's pre-game programming, there's post-game programming, there's highlights, there's everything, and you get it all. And I hope the NHL comes up with some kind of solution like that, where it's international, where it's across for all hockey fans. Because right now, in the States, they have ESPN Plus, but their regional blackouts are reversed from ours, where you're supposed to get everything on ESPN Plus, but they black out games on there so that if you're in the local region, you have to go watch the television.
Yes.
So Eric Young, who lives in Nashville and doesn't have the station that the Nashville Predators air on, is blacked out from watching Preds games on the ESPN app. So he can't watch Nashville Predators games, even though he lives in Nashville. Again,
all you have to do to fix that, it's a really simple solution. Force the national rights holder, ESPN, to carry the game. And if you're worried about local commercials reaching local audiences, there's this thing called ad substitutions, targeted ads. I don't know. When you log on to Meta, you could see local ads. Meta is not a Canadian company. You could see localized ads because they're able to target you by your IP. This is such an easy fix. Steve, go ahead. Sorry.
From the moment I've landed here, my TikTok ads started showing me Swedish stuff. Dude, how we have the technology. We have this. And I saw some people talking about people just like to complain about everything. People are so cheap.
No.
I pay for both stations in this basically monopoly country, biopoly, whatever you want to call it. I should be able to watch the game. I should be able to watch the game beginning, middle, end. It's ridiculous that it was blacked out at all. The concept of blackouts is antiquated. It's old. And you know what? You know what I'm glad happened that I saw with the Sens Red Wings game is at first I saw people complaining, right? Usually I see people complaining about this. Then what I've started to notice more is people making jokes about, I'm going to, ride the 7 seas, wink, or sail the 7 seas, and they're making piracy jokes. Then Friday, I just saw people out and out say, well, guess I'm going to steal it.
Well,
I'm going to steal it.
And what choice have you given them at that point?
You haven't given them any choice. I keep bringing this up. I know we don't speak of him Voldemort style, but back in the day, Louis C.K. had a comedy special, and he made it available on a very elementary website, on a very basic website. And it was, if you pay $5, you get to download this comedy special. And like it wasn't difficult. Like it's a link and you download the file. It was almost like a Wii transfer. If any of you are familiar with that site. And he said, yes, it would be easy to steal, but just please don't. And what we discovered is the vast majority of people are actually just good and honest and willing to pay a reasonable price for something. And, they paid their $5, they downloaded the special, and that was it. Just make it easy or people are simply gonna take it. Like, they got to make money. You are lighting money on fire with this shit. You're doing two things. You're ruining your own business because people are just going to steal your product. Or number two, which is probably worse, they're just not going to consume it.
Yes. Yeah.
Too much in the world. I can't watch the Sens Red Wings game. Guess I'll watch something else. Is basketball on TV? Is soccer on TV? Maybe I'll play video games or something. Guess I'll do something else.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous and so antiquated. And let's I don't want to trash a former employer, but like the elephant in the room is there's 4 games over here. Right? We want them televised nationally. But and if they're on TSN, they can't televise them nationally because TSN doesn't have those rights. But there's 4 games being shown over here. Sportsnet has one of them.
Yeah, but guys, Sportsnet does have the ability to pick up the stream. They do have the ability to run the TSN feed, but they won't do it.
They don't right now, like under the contract rules.
I'm pretty sure that they can pick it up and just and restream it. I know they can. restream it.
But then they couldn't do that on cable.
They can't do that on cable. You're right.
It would
on the app.
You have to accept.
Yeah, you're right.
No, but I'm pretty sure
each other, and they're never going to work together.
Yeah, you would still need the Sportsnet Plus subscription plus the ultimate NHL package and all that stuff to get that.
How much do you pay for your top TSN package?
Like cable a month?
Oh, is it cable?
I just have like cable.
Because both of because I don't have cable. Both of my TSN and Sportsnet subscriptions overall cost me close to $100 a month. Just the two of them.
That's a lot.
And I still
that's
can't.
Preposterous.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Preposterous.
And and that's the thing is that listen, this isn't a hit on Sportsnet on air personalities or Sportsnet producers. This is a hit on the National Hockey League not taking care of its own business. And this is the thing is that if you have a global series, it's literally in the brand. Make the game available globally. Make sure every city and every country can watch it. I know it's a Friday afternoon game. I know you don't expect high ratings. The reality of it is trying to make it. By the way, it's a PA day for a lot of kids yesterday, so a lot of kids could have watched it.
Yeah.
I think
that's right.
Yesterday, Friday and that sort of thing. This is the type of thing that is so easy. And this is what we keep harping on. For sports to take hold in a home. I didn't come from a hockey home. My dad is a open wheel racer, NASCAR guy. My mom, at best, was a football fan. My parents didn't give a shit about hockey, either of them. And the reason I fell in love with hockey is because I started to see it come up. And I started to watch Doug Gilmour score a bunch of goals, and then Matt Sundin, and then I became fanatical about it. And it was
because grow up in a big hockey house either.
Because it was readily available, because it was on TV, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let me watch that as a 7 or 8 year old, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what we have forgotten, we've gotten so much into how much money we can make on it. We have forgotten as a game, or the NHL head office has forgotten what it takes to get into people's lives. And I think it's interesting. I was reading an article. One of the things I love is Front Office Sports. They're really about the sports business. And they were talking about how in the United States, over the air, like antenna television is having a moment right now, and how they expect, even though big streamers are going to come in, and I think the NBA wants to make $75 billion off their next streaming deal. Can you believe that? $75 billion with a B. Okay, that's their goal over like a 10-year period. The over-the-air streaming, right? The things that we were talking about, the Phoenix Suns ownership sending you antennas to your house so you can install it and watch Phoenix Suns game because you can get 70 of them on over-the-air broadcasts. I can't believe we're talking about this, but this is what this is all leading to. And what the Phoenix Suns are trying to do is make Phoenix Suns basketball a part of the lives of people who live in the area and want to watch it. And what the NHL has done a terrible job of doing is trying to attract a new fan. They know the hardcores. They know we're going to try to find the game. We'll pirate it illegally. We'll do whatever we need to do. But you need to find the people that are iffy, the people that might like it, the people that could fall in love with it. You need to bring those people in. And if you segment it to an outrageously, extremely premium production, you're just not going to get them anymore. And people are going to abandon your sport. And that's what we're seeing. Sean Fitzgerald wrote an entire book about it. And I think that's the frustration here. And the weird part about it is, nobody's made a comment about it. No one's talked about it. I mean, we've talked about it, but nobody said, hey, oh, you know what? We'll fix that.
Yeah. What we're asking.
What are they going to say? A TV?
What we're asking from the league is, when you were planning the global series in Sweden, and we were asking you to have some foresight for the situation and say, hey, we're going to have the games Thursday through Sunday, but we're going to make those Thursday through Sunday games. They'd have to be on Sportsnet, so they have to be national games. And I don't know what sort of compensation you have to kick back to TSN to take those games, but it would have to be a Sportsnet broadcast from Thursday through Sunday so that these games can be seen by the entire country. And they didn't think about
And how about this? How about
I don't think the national rights holder wanted these games, guys.
No, I don't think they did either.
Yeah, I think that they would have talked about,
because they have the right to do that regionally. Outside of the Ottawa region, Sportsnet could have run a simulcast. They could have put their own people on it, but they probably just didn't want to spend the money.
No, they don't, because they can do that they can air national games on a Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, is that
it? We're asking them to amend the contract of the national rights that's
fair
Rogers
enough.
has.
Then they should do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we needed them to sit down when these games were in Sweden and establish that, hey, we're gonna break the rules of what we have written down.
Agreed. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey, I'm gonna say this as plainly as I'm willing to. I worked at Sportsnet for 9 years. Everyone I worked with was wonderful, and I worked for wonderful bosses. None of them think any of this is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's coming from upstairs.
Take from that what make a conclusion. You're almost there. It's the company at the top needs to want this. It needs to want to foster hockey and needs to want hockey to be successful. And, generally when you don't want something bad enough, it fails.
I also don't know that that's necessarily in their business interest. They're looking at this like, we got a couple years left on this deal. It's a boat anchor for the company. It really is a very expensive contract that they could never have made money on. And I don't think they are. If they're making money back on this.
Else.
Well, but that's the
Give
thing.
It to someone else.
Well, you can't though. You've got the deal signed, so we're keeping it for now. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we're going to see improvements over the next couple of years until this moves to a new agreement. Whether that's with Rogers, with Bell, or with one of the big streamers. That's just the reality. And I feel
and the shame.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the shame that this is the story back home, because I was telling people this. They're like, oh, yeah, how does Canada view this? And I'm like, well, Canada doesn't view this because, everything I'm hearing from back home is no one was able to watch the fucking games. Mm-hmm. The shame that this is such a big – it's – having been in Stockholm for several days, it's such a shame that this is the big story back in North America or at very least Canada, because over here, it's the blast. Everyone's enjoying it. Everyone's having a good time. They're buying all the very limited merch and, just having a great time. Meeting people from all over the world. People telling stories about, here's how I got into hockey. I got into it when I was a kid. I got into it very recently. I was into it when I was a kid, fell out of love with it, fell back in love with it. It's just countless wonderful stories over here. And back home, where 2 of the 4 teams that were invited are playing, it's just misery.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it that. Like locally, I'll be honest with you, I know that Ottawa fans were pretty jacked about that Tim Stützle overtime goal. That bat out of air, crazy ass goal. That was such a cool goal. Amazing.
That was so dumb.
And I can tell you, Leafs fans were pretty thrilled yesterday with the comeback. And by the way, how many people tweeted you about betting the comeback, by the way?
Oh my gosh, I got so many bets.
We were talking about it in the BetMGM segment on Monday.
Yeah.
Always bet the comeback for the Leafs.
Some people got risky and they just
stealing.
They just took the money line of like, hey, I'm just going to bet the Leafs to win when they were down 2-0. I was like, I'm not that risky. I want the plus 2.5 goals. But like so many people tweeted me and shouted and sent screenshots of them winning money. Like we won people some legit money by just telling them bet Leafs plus the goals whenever they're down. It's awesome.
The number one question I was asked by people who were visiting is like, is this the Leaf experience? And I'm like, yeah. No, this is how they win games, man.
Yeah, 100%. Now, so Steve,
should we be worried about it? I'm like, nah, you worry about it after New Year's.
Yeah.
Now you just rack up the points, rack them up, and after New Year's you start going, okay, you should probably be good, like, all 3 periods.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take a fewer penalties.
So
that was a question from your LFR that you did outside the arena, outside of Avicii Arena. That was a very smart question. Like should we be worried about these comebacks? And I think it's a really valid question, a valid point. You don't want a team that gets down all the time because that's an issue. But I think the way you described it in that, hey, it's when Christmas ends, you can start worrying about your diet again. When Christmas ends and we're in January, we can start worrying about the Leafs' troubles. But ride it out for now.
I think
I'm fattening up. I'm getting warm. So are the Leafs. You store those points in your gut, and then in January get on the bike.
So what's the when you walk into the arena yesterday, and I know, listen, with no offense to Senators fans, I do really want to know about the Leafs game on this one because apparently William Nylander's been the star. People are going nuts everywhere he shows up. So what was it like walking into that arena yesterday? And what's Avicii Arena like?
Yeah, okay. So I got to start back at Friday's game.
Okay.
So Sens Detroit. And the reason is, so you walk in, it's very similar design to I can't remember the name of it. But the arena in Nashville, where the Predators play. Bridgestone? Yeah. Like it's really steep, really, really steep. The chairs are old. They're a little rickety. And I don't know if this shows up well on the broadcast, but the boards and glass are actually kind of makeshift.
Yeah.
Because
they talked about it on the broadcast.
Ice.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. Yeah. So it's Olympic size. Oh, by the way, now I can say this. I don't think I said this in the LFR video. There's only 2 games left. I will bet money someone shatters one of those panes of glass.
Yeah.
Like the sound it makes isn't right. The sound it makes isn't right at all. Like they're really weird, skinny. Like I've never seen them before, and the sound they make. Someone hits them with a hard enough slap shot. I don't know so much about a hit, but a hard enough slap shot, we will get a delay of game with a broken pane of glass. Mm-hmm. So we go in there, and the Sens go up 4-0 in the first game, and it wasn't as loud as I thought it would be. And I was talking to some people about this, like, it's different when maybe you're in a different country. Like there were people from all over the world, right? And you don't all know each other, and you're all just sort of taking it in instead of being the experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it'd be different if I was to go to a random October Swedish game, and I'm one of the few Canadians in the audience or whatever, and it's not this special thing. I would be watching everyone losing their mind and doing their big chants or whatever. But it's almost like everyone's waiting for the experience to come to them, and they haven't realized that they're the experience. But as soon as Detroit scored to make it 4-1, like it was ridiculously loud. And that's when I went, oh, this is a Detroit crowd.
Right.
Like there are a lot of Sens fans there, but this is the majority of fans here are cheering for Detroit.
Right.
And yesterday was a little bit similar. where the first Detroit goal goes in, pretty big pop. Second one goes in, and it's Lucas Raymond, the Swede, right? So much bigger pop. And then the Leafs score. And then Willy ties it. It's a game-tying goal, and it's William Nylander. Like, just, it was so loud, so amazing. And then obviously Tavares. Like, it helps that both games, especially at the end, were just genuinely very exciting.
Yeah. With the broadcast that you wouldn't have seen, you can hear the boards. So the thing you're talking about and all the boards and stuff, whenever there's an impact against it, it's like a squeaking noise, and it's a different kind of noise that you're not used to in National Hockey League games. So you can hear the boards, and you kind of know that they're different. You can also just see it, that they're a little wonky. So like I bet your prediction of one of them breaking is kind of correct. And they were talking a lot on the broadcast too, because you're talking about the Detroit crowd. The two biggest teams historically in Sweden are the Red Wings 1 and the Leafs 2. That's why they went over there. So I'm not surprised at all that the crowd was pro Red Wings.
I'm excited for tonight though, because supposedly there was a whole plane full of Minnesota fans coming from Czechia.
Oh, cool.
Michael Russo and someone else, I can't remember, had like an event. Like they rented out a bar. They rented out a sports bar in Stockholm called, yep, you guessed it, O'Leary's.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah, and so I think there are going to be a surprising amount of Wild fans here.
That's great. I mean, listen, there's significant Swedish talent on all the teams. So you walk into the arena, it's a bit steep, it's a bit, loud and a bit older probably than what we're used to in Canada.
Much older. Where
in North America, we, once an arena is 20, it's like scrap it. It's dead. It's shit. But when the Leafs kind of scored, by the way, if you're a Red Wings fan, I feel really bad for you because they had a stranglehold on both games and blew both games. Yeah. That sucks. But when the Leafs started to kind of claw back in the third period, you get that first, I believe it was Bertuzzi who scored first. What's the feeling? Are you feeling there's a Toronto crowd there? Are you feeling like it's starting to get loud?
Yes, but there was the very typical Toronto anxiety.
Oh.
So second intermission, I spoke to this girl who is a student in Stockholm from the Czech Republic, and she was like, she rattled off some stat. She's like, so the Leafs have scored at least a goal in, I think it's 170 consecutive games. And this is my first game. Am I going to see them get shut out?
No, that's Leafs anxiety.
100%. Yeah. So Bertuzzi finally scores. I think it was cool. Like, not just for the Leaf fans there, but also like there's the other thing about these games is there's a ton of neutral spectators as well.
Yeah.
There's people who are just like, oh, the NHL's here, and if you're a neutral spectator, you're not necessarily going to freak out because someone scored the 2-1 goal, but it was a cool story, or it was a cool goal narrative wise, because it's Tyler Bertuzzi, right? The former Red Wing scoring against his former team. I don't remember if I think Nylander did get the assist on that one.
He did.
There was a pretty big pop for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was all Willy.
Yeah.
That goal.
Yeah.
Bertuzzi just had to do the Tyler Bertuzzi thing and stand in the blue paint and whack it in. So you started to see people get up about that, and I gotta say there were some cloudy eyes. I'll put it that way. Everyone was really well hydrated in Sweden. So when that third period came around, they were all in a mood that was ready for a comeback. Put it that way.
Okay. And Nylander scores to tie it up. What's that like?
Well, I mean, you could basically hear where his family was sitting.
Again, his grandmother didn't even get up. She was like, just nice little clap, nice little golf clap.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of neutral spectators there, and no one in his family is one of them.
Yeah.
They were freaking out, and everyone was really happy, and you can tell there's extra fanfare, and it also helped that even though it was a road game for the Leafs, A, it was majority Leaf crowd. B, I think they played everyone's goal horn. Like, I'm pretty sure the Sens and Red Wings both had their goal horn. Leafs had their goal horn. But also the in-ring announcer is Mike Ross, who's the Leafs in-ring announcer in Toronto. So, he's being neutral and he's announcing the goals for everyone, but you could tell there was a little extra pizzazz for the Leafs, and and he put it on and understood the
moment.
The moment, like you said, the whole event like seemed to be basically with William Nylander at the center of it. Well, he scored.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is what we all wanted is, whether the Leafs win or lose, we just want to see a reaction to William Nylander doing the thing. And that's what we got. So it was great. And it's 2-2 at that point. So it's a brand new game. So whether you're a Leaf fan or a neutral fan, it's an exciting moment when the game is tied. Kind of sucks if you're a Red Wings fan.
It's weird that the Leafs, or I guess they're the only ones who wanted to foot the bill to bring the announcer for the arena, because none of their games are home games. Like don't they play 2 road games technically in Sweden? So why do they get their announcer there? But I guess MLSE is the only one who's willing to fly over their guy. I'm just assuming.
Well, it's interesting tactically, actually.
Yeah.
So I think I flagged this on a recent podcast. The Leafs have to play the tired team both games.
Good.
So
fuck them.
They played the tired. Yeah, well, first of all, Adam's right. Second of all, they had to play the tired Red Wings, and then tomorrow they're going to play the tired Wild. But they're also the road team both games.
Yeah.
So if you're going to give a team the advantage of you play the tired team both nights, you might as well at very least give the team that they're playing last change.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's not necessarily the home crowd advantage, but at very least tactically you get the advantage of last change, which I don't know if that's fair, but it's as fair as it can be, I guess.
Speaking of line changes, can we talk for a second about the Leafs being the worst team in the league at changing lines once again?
Please take it.
First of all, they lead the league in bench minors. Like, it's not
just this year, over the last 3 seasons, Jesse.
It's not an eye test. It is not Leafs fandom being, oh, you guys are freaking out about something little. No, they are literally, by the stats, the worst team in the Sheldon Keefe era at changing lines and getting all these bench minors.
Verifiable fact.
It was egregious. Like the ones that happened, the one that happened last night, and what's happened this season is just that it's lazy. It's all structural. Yes. It's all you can coach this out of somebody just to hustle back to the bench and know who's coming off and know who's coming on. And I don't know when this is going to be fixed, but it's about time, because it is costing you power plays, or you're going to be on the penalty kill so much more than you need to be. You did it to yourself in every instance.
And we knew this was going to happen. Drew has an incredible eye, like an actual incredible eye. Like the second we walked into that arena, like we could tell the ice surface, like there was something different about it. And obviously they had to take it from Olympic size down to NHL size. But I don't know if they talked about this on the broadcast, but if you look closely, more of your bench is in the defensive zone than for a regular NHL game.
It's like 70% of it.
Like, yeah, it's like at least a 25% difference from how it usually is.
I say it's 15%. You guys have all said
more.
Percentages. I'm saying percentage too. I'm smart.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Give me a fraction. 1/4. 1/3. It's so, like, as soon as we saw that, we're like, okay, well, they're already the worst team in the league at this. And then sure enough, the puck is like right on the right near the blue line. And who knows, like I didn't see the replay of the penalty. Maybe it wouldn't have been a penalty back home, like in Scotiabank Arena, for example. But like as soon as we saw how much of the bench was in the defensive zone, we're like, oh yeah, they're taking at least one too many men I'd be a little surprised if they didn't tomorrow too.
How has nobody addressed it with the coaching staff?
Well, is it the coaching staff though?
It's gotta be.
Like I think it's a Sheldon Keefe thing. Like when we were at the game last Saturday and they had too many men on the ice when they were already down a man.
When they were all the penalty kill.
To me, that's the coach putting a player on the ice where he shouldn't and not paying attention.
Jesse, can you look this up? So let's just do Matthews era. Look up the 16-17 season and the 17-18 season where the Leafs ranked in bench minors. Because even though Sheldon Keefe's staff has been consistently awful at this,
so was
I'm pretty sure Babcock's was too.
Yeah.
So you're blaming
the
guys.
This has been a problem for a long time.
All right, I think I got it here if it's easier.
We don't have to suck the whole show. I'm pretty sure it's been a problem for a long time. And if you look, honestly, over the last 6-7 years.
Which season do you want?
I've got to be top 5.
You want 17-18?
So Babs
16-17 and
16-17 Babs had 8, which is among the tops in the league, but it's not quite tops.
Right. They should be top 5, top 10.
Oh yeah.
Bottom 5, bottom 10, I guess. How you look at it.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now. So through this is even better. So through from the start from 2016 to the end of 2018, Mike Babcock and the Leafs had 18 too many men on the ice calls. That is second in the National Hockey League in that era. The only one more is Pete DeBoer, who had 19.
So they were one out of first place.
That's incredible. So this has been a consistent problem for these guys.
Yeah.
Across coaching staffs, across players in the lineup. What? Mm-hmm. Just learn how to change your lines. Dude, you practice everything to do with this game. You practice everything. You see guys practicing face-offs. Do you need to go back to Pee Wee and figure out how to change your lines?
You need to hustle to the bench. Every Pee Wee coach tells you, hustle to the bench.
Dude, they're brutal for that. You know what? Willy, elite player, one of the best players in the world this season.
Slow to the bench.
He's bad at that.
Terrible.
Bertuzzi is not very good at that. Bozak used to be bad at that. It's part of the play. It's part they almost took 2.
Yeah.
Because there was one where Nick Robertson, who's actually excited to be in the NHL and be on the ice. He's out there shot out of a cannon. And he goes from the bench to past center ice. The guy who was subbing off for him wasn't even on the bench yet. And I'm how close are they to calling this? I almost wonder, how we complain about this guy gets away with roughing, this guy gets away with tripping. Are the Leafs so bad at too many men that even though they get called for it more than anyone else, the refs actually let it go? They're abysmal.
Can't call every one of them, right?
So I don't get it.
2 things with the stat about Babcock. It's a ranking by coaches, just so everyone's clear. It's not a ranking by team. So Babcock and he's second there with 18. But amongst those 18 too many men on the ice penalties, how many of those power plays were killed off?
Oh man, they tracked that?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 15.
Adam?
18?
Close.
Really?
17.
Oh.
17 of the 18 times they took a too many men on the ice penalty from 2016 to 2018. They killed it off.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter then. This is my point. This is my problem, right? There are certain penalties that I'm okay with them taking. I'm okay with an instigator every once in a while. I'm okay if you get turnstiled and you have to hold somebody and occasionally what Giordano took last Saturday. I'm fine with it. But Mitch Marner complaining about the hooking call that he got in the first period. Well, your stick is in the player's gloves. What do you expect? That is stop complaining about it. That's what they're going to call. It's easy for them. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. Simple.
Yeah, I was like, Mitch, no, and the whistle had already gone.
100%. And then of course you could see it coming, right? Mm-hmm. And then the bench minors, it's unforced errors. Maybe they kill off the bench minor penalty, but it's the second, third, and fourth penalty of the game that they take later on, where the PK staff's a little more tired, where that's where it becomes an issue, right? And so it's like, don't just figure this out, man. This should be like, forget them having a bad penalty kill, which they have this year. You can figure out how not to take bench minors. You can do it.
Or not.
Or do nothing for 8 years. You know what? We didn't talk about enough when Kyle Dubas was in Toronto? How come he couldn't clean up the bench minors? What's his problem? Huh?
Yeah.
This must be on Kyle
Living's
Dubas'
fault. This is Kyle.
Yeah.
Last step.
What do you got?
Because we got to do the comparison now. So let's do from the 2020 season through the end of the 2020-2021 season. That was the one that's shortened by the pandemic.
Yes.
So we don't want to do that.
1920 was shortened by the pandemic. 20 on its own. Sorry, 21 was on its own. So 1920, because the Raptors won the championship 6 months later, we're in a pandemic. So 1920 was shortened. 2021 was the North Division, and then 21-22 was
82 games.
82 games, yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
so let's do that. And let's find out how many Sheldon. It was actually really good.
Oh
no, like what so shut up, Steve. That was a great explanation.
Okay, thank you.
You solved the problem I was trying to solve.
Thank you, Jesse.
We got 2 82-game seasons.
All right.
So we can compare them to Mike Babcock. Let's see how many bench minors Sheldon Keefe had in the same 2-year span.
How many, Jesse?
So from 2021 to 2023, the 2021-22 season to 22-22 to 23, Sheldon Keefe had. Do you guys want to take a guess?
20.
Steve?
22.
Steve Dangle, everybody.
Oh!
22!
He probably remembers all of them.
20. So 4 more than Mike Babcock had in a 2-season span.
It's enough.
This is crazy.
It's enough. What does that rank, by the way?
So Babcock.
I got to count. They're not sorted.
Oh, they're not sorted. Yeah, I know that site doesn't sort them.
Yeah, but it's
anyway. Get ready for Puck Drop at BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League.
Woo!
I like how you said that.
Thank you. I think, you know what? Honestly, I grew up kind of wanting to be an announcer. So saying something, the BetMGM, the official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League. It'll be fun.
Your dreams.
Thank you.
Well done.
Here, hit me one more time.
Of the BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League.
There's something, the way you say National Hockey League.
Thank you. I appreciate that. From game-winning goals to spectacular saves, BetMGM gives you the chance to take those highlight reel NHL plays to a whole new level. BetMGM has something for every hockey fan, so you're sure to find a way to get off the bench, get on the ice all season long.
Get on the ice in what league? Say it.
The National Hockey League.
Thank you.
With who? Who's the official?
BetMGM,
There you go.
the official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League. Okay, so
If you didn't say that again, I was going to move furniture.
they're the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 19 years of age or older to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. So, Steve, I guess the last question is, the last goal goes in. Great setup from Bertuzzi. Great setup from Nylander to Bertuzzi. Great goal from Tavares. They seemed amped about it. That line is just clicking right now. What was it like? I want to know what the reaction was, and then I kind of want to talk about the fact of like that line's dominance. It's been pretty unbelievable.
Well, the number one reaction that I noticed was Tyler Bertuzzi's. Like literally skipping like a child. And I mean, hockey players, despite their jock reputation, are not stupid. Like he knows he hasn't been playing well. And like, not only did he have a sick setup to tie the game in a comeback, not only did he have a multi-point game, but like that line was the best one the Leafs had. They scored both their 5-on-5 goals. I know the Matthews, Marner, Nyes line. I don't know what the numbers were at the end of the game, but after 2, they were getting outshot 5-1 at even strength. And part of that is like so much of the game was on special teams. Marner's constantly out there killing penalties. Matthews is too. Nyes is too, actually. They were all getting out there, just not together, and certainly not at 5-on-5. So the Leafs needed someone to step up, and that whole line did. So, everyone in the building was obviously happy, but like Tyler Bertuzzi, I kind of think viewed that game the same way I did. It was his best game as a Leaf. So you can only go with the information you have in front of you. I think it was around game 10 I laid into Bertuzzi because he was terrible. And it wasn't just the incident in Boston, or I guess the lack of incident in Boston. It's one thing to not engage your opponent. It's another to just stink. Like they're getting outscored. He's not putting up any points. He's not playing with any passion. Now he's playing with like fire, genuine fire. And he's, instead of looking like not just a passenger, but a boat anchor on two incredible players, like he's joined them in their hot start to the season, like kind of overshadowed because of how good Willy's been in a 16-game point streak. Like John Tavares has been sick.
He's been unbelievable.
Like, he hasn't taken a step backwards. Yeah, he hasn't taken a step backwards at all. And now that Bertuzzi has joined them, he's not just a compliment to them, but like he can drive as well as finish. That was the biggest, most excited reaction in the building because, like, A, I'm sure he likes winning hockey games, but B, this is not John Klingberg. This is a guy who signed a 1-year deal and is hoping to play many, many, many more, and is hoping to get a huge payday this summer, whether it's from the Leafs or someone else. Like, he can't stink. He can't. It's not an option. And I mean, I'm sure he or his agent or whoever know that, assholes like us are talking about him in trade rumors. And what better situation could you have in a contract year than playing with Matthews and Marner, and if you get kicked off that line, Tavares and Nylander?
Well, that's why
honestly, you might rather play with Tavares and Nylander.
Yeah. Well, right now, and I'm looking at his game logs, guys. In his first 13 games, he had 3 points. In his last 4 games, he has had 5.
Yeah, he's been on fire. It's been great.
He's been what we thought he would be. And, Red Wings fans were reaching out, and their scouting reports on their former players are actually pretty reliable. Like, he goes hot and cold, right? But, I can understand with and live with hot and cold.
At $5.5 million, of course.
What I couldn't tolerate from his game to start the season was he didn't even look engaged. Like, he didn't look relevant on the ice. Last night, he was extremely relevant. Like, the Red Wings could not contain this player. It was awesome.
It's interesting that Red Wings had a really hot start, and it seems like they've kind of come back to earth. I believe they're 6-8-3. They were sort of a wagon to start, and then it's fallen off. Do you think this is more like what the Red Wings are, or is it just they're a hot and cold young team?
They're a hot and cold young team. They don't have their starting goaltender right now. Like,
that's
Reimer
big.
made a couple really big saves in that game against Ottawa, but like ultimately ducked under the OT winner, which a lot of people were talking about over here, which all we focused on is we were listening to it and we're like, I'm pretty sure he hit that out of the air. We see the replay and it's even better than it looked in person. And then Drew's like, did Reimer duck? And it's the normal human instinct for most people, but it's a terrible instinct to have as a goaltender.
Yeah, because that's when I was sitting there watching that replay, I'm like, okay, I would have ducked in that situation, but as a goaltender in the National Hockey League, I feel like when things come at you, you throw your body in front of it because that's your job. It was such a anti-reaction to what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, we see goalies. Casimir Kaskisuo was one of the first I ever saw to do this. I think Ilya Samsonov does this. Is sometimes in practice they intentionally will take pucks off the head.
Samsonov saved a puck off of his head in the game on Friday. A puck hit his mask and it went out of play.
But you need to be I don't think people should be wiring pucks at your head on the regular. That's probably not good. But you got to be used to that. You gotta not be afraid of that feeling. You got to welcome that as someone who's paid to step in front of pucks, I guess. Yeah. So that's really difficult. And then Alex Lyon, this was his first game against the Leafs since his ridiculous 40-something save performance at the end of the regular season last year with Florida. So it's, he's got a shutout going through 2 periods. So I'm like, oh, friggin' of course. But I think obviously Willy Huso's their best goalie. So getting him back in there will help. The other thing is, so I got chirped for this at the beginning of the season when Justin Hall was scratched, and he was healthy scratched. And Red Wings fans were like, well, it's not a healthy scratch. It's a rotation. Call it what you want.
It's a healthy
He's
scratch.
healthy and scratched. It's a healthy scratch. We have the cap space to be able to afford that. Okay, well, someone's got to clue Derek Lalonde into what every Red Wings fan I met told me, which is Jeff Petrie is washed.
Yeah.
That dude is not an everyday player. And you might go, yeah, that's why he's in the rotation. Dude, I have been very critical of Justin Hall in this league. He got bodied by Bertuzzi on the game-winning goal.
Which we're used to, by the way.
Which we're used to. He's very useful at a lot of things, but, man, he loses a lot of physical battles. He's willing to go to war for his team, but, he often loses that war.
Yeah.
He's, at this point in their careers, he's a much, much better option on the back end there than Petrie. A lot of Leaf fans are not going to get that. They're doing their victory lap because, he got bodied on the game-winning goal. Sherratt Petrie, if I'm not mistaken, was on the ice for all 4 goals that the Red Wings allowed before overtime. I don't remember who was on the ice for the final seconds of overtime, but when the Red Wings were down 4-0, Sherratt Petrie was on the ice for every single goal, and then there was a scrum behind the net, and they're waiting at the blue line, and I'm like, dude, it's written in the hockey commandments. You're having a shitty game, you should at least engage physically, and they weren't even doing that. So
I'm shocked they
there
put
are
Sherratt and
weaknesses
Petrie
to
together.
the team.
I'm shocked.
It's crazy. And good players are usually in a rotation, right, Steve? Austin Matthews and William Nylander and John Tavares, they're in a rotation, right? Because they're good players.
Oh no, the Leafs don't have the cap space. They didn't manage it well enough. What I do? You know what I want to do? And I'm glad Jesse did this in NHL 23 when he was doing his GM streams. Sign a defenseman for 3 years at $3 million a pop to put him in a rotation with players who are objectively worse. I'm sorry if Justin. Are they sitting Moritz Seider because he's in the rotation?
At Steve Yzerman right now.
They should. I mean, they got the cap space. They should sit him.
Yeah, sit Moritz Seider.
They should.
It's a rotation, isn't it?
Sit him. Yeah, okay. I disagree with getting multi-million-dollar players and then paying them to not play for you. I disagree with that. The Red Wings vehemently disagree with me on account. Forget their D-men. They're carrying 3 goalies who all make over $1 million, right? But maybe for the first few games of the season, you go, okay, we're going to do this rotation and figure out who's who and keep everyone fresh. And guys, we've seen enough of Justin Hall and Jeff Petrie this season to know that Hall should be in your lineup every night.
Yeah.
He should be in your lineup every night when your other option is Petrie.
Yeah. And Justin Hall,
dude, he's been terrible.
For all of his flaws, is overhated. He does the Justin Hall role.
I 100% agree.
He does what he does adequately. It's when he's played in positions that are over his skill level. When he's on the first pairing and you're trying to do Riley Hall or Brody Hall and you have him playing 22 minutes a night, then it's too much Justin Hall. Yeah. But when Justin Hall is in a limited role, he's very good at his job, and he is a good 5-6 defenseman.
Yeah, he's also great. I think to jump off of Jesse's thing there. In a limited role where he's sitting in the in the press box, it's also it's great because he can't really do that much wrong if he's not playing, and I think that's where Detroit has the galaxy brain that we really don't have here in Toronto. I wish we were smart like that.
Well, every given night you're sitting something like $5 million worth of players in the press box.
Yeah, so just don't, man.
What?
Or
okay, yes,
the
you
ones
have
that
the
deserve
cap
to be
space
sat.
to do that, but you're telling me that's the best way to spend it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Now,
so anyway, sorry to answer the original question. I think they're a team that's going to be in the playoff hunt.
Yes.
if they're going to make it or miss it by several points, like it's not going to be a big margin. So you need to decrease your margin of error if you have aspirations of making the playoffs, and that includes playing your best lineup every night.
Yeah. One thing that the Red Wings have established early on is that they can score goals. They're currently third in the league in goals for. They're only behind the Canucks and the Golden Knights. Like, that's good company to be in. When they're hot, they can score. It's just about the other end of the ice. If they can get some stops and they can keep staying hot in terms of the goal scoring, they're definitely going to be in the playoff hunt. Like, I'm very surprised by what I've seen out of Detroit. It's just they need to figure out some of these little things, and a lot of it seems to be on the defensive end and in net a little bit as well.
So
yeah, not the greatest goaltending.
We're a small business. There's no doubt about it. SDPN is just a partnership between the three of us.
It's a big business.
And one of the things that really helped us, especially early on, was being able to sell merch. It helped fund a lot of the things that we needed, like, paying for like websites and, making sure that we had the right equipment. And Jesse, you set that up on what platform?
Shopify.
That's
it's funny you should say that the shop paid for websites, because it paid for itself because we sold stuff on it. And then that pays the little amount that Shopify charges each month to build your website on it.
And this is the thing. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. It's got a global force behind a whole bunch of brands and entrepreneurs just like us. And really, that's what we use. So if you're in a small business situation, or you want to sell things online and you want a fully customizable, completely supported, really great option, Shopify is for you. And you can check it out right now at sdpn.ca in our shop. sdpnshop.ca. Get the name of our merch. That's literally our Shopify account.
Yeah.
You can check it out right now. So sign up at $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/SDP, all lowercase. Again, it's shopify.com/SDP. So you can grow your business no matter what stage you're at. Shopify.com/SDP. I do want to bring something up, and I know the Leafs won the game yesterday, but at what point in the season are we concerned about Mitch Marner as a player? Like, I love Mitch Marner playing. I think when he's at his best, he's worth the cap hit. He has
great
had
pass on the Willy goal.
He has had a lot of points. People are going to look at me. He's a point a game player. At $11 million, he needs to be more than a point a game player, frankly. But I think it's less about the points. You can go look up somebody's stats on online and be like, well, they've got, wow, look at that. What I want to see is him being a factor in play a little bit more. And that's something that we're used to in Toronto. And I'm not seeing him be the factor in play in the neutral zone and in the offensive zone that we're used to. He's not getting the takeaways he used to get. He's not interrupting plays the way he used to. He uses his skating to really charge at guys when he doesn't have possession. It's a spectacular weapon. Not seeing as much of that this year, guys.
So one thing I want to ask you guys to get into this is, I noticed what you're saying. It's a very good point, because I noticed it when I was at the game live. The Sens game that they blew is when you can ISO on a player just with your eyes instead of like a camera trying to ISO on him, and you notice that Mitch isn't doing the same things that he did previously in terms of dominating the play with his skating ability is really how he does it. And I want to know if you guys saw that too when you guys were at the game last Saturday, if that's kind of where you spotted Mitch Marner not being quite as Mitch Marner.
I didn't see him at all.
There you go.
That's the thing. Mitch Marner is a noticeable hockey player.
Matthews was noticeable. I don't know how effective he was, but he's noticeable.
Oh, for sure.
Nice was a guy who he actually created some chances out of I think he drew a penalty by going 1-on-3 on the Red Wings. That might have even been the penalty that led to the power play goal. I can't remember. But there was a play I noticed yesterday. I can't remember who the defenseman was, but they dumped the puck in, which is fine. They dumped the puck in. The Leaf who is going after it is Mitch, and the Red Wings are first on it. And he's good at stick lifting and taking it away and everything, but he's not getting that puck. So the idea of dumping it in doesn't work, not because dumping the puck in doesn't work. It's because you're dumping it in for one of the skinniest guys in your team, and going up against a pretty big D-core. It's just not going to work. Like, I'd rather have that puck go into the corner for Nyes. He digs it out, gets it to a guy like Mitch along the half wall who can dish it to anybody on the ice. Like, he has an elite skill set, right? But sending him in after it to go get it, like, it just doesn't work. I guess it's a good sign that they're scoring so much. They're starting to get scored on less, which is nice. They're not allowing 4 goals a bloody game.
Mm-hmm.
They're racking up points. I wanted the Leafs to get at least 5 points out of their next 8 at the beginning of the week, and they've already got 6. So everything is gravy. If they beat Minnesota, they go 8 for 8. That's awesome. But at some point, like, you know how we talked about, you can't just go down 2-0 and win every game. You're not going to have success in the playoffs if this player isn't elite.
Yeah.
He makes elite money. He makes every night difference maker money. So he has to be a difference maker every single night. I don't think Matthews is totally blameless in this either, but like, Mitch is a little bit more concerning.
Well, and I think the difference with Matthews is the results are there. When Matthews is on, I mean, he was at 13 goals in 12 games. He's now at 13 and 16. I'm less worried about that.
He's been streaky, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine, be streaky. Goal scorers often are. I do see Matthews as a bit more of a factor in the boring 5-on-5 back and forth. The only reason I'm noticing it with Mitch is because it's been such a part of Toronto Maple Leaf hockey for 8 years now, and in how spectacular he's been. It's noticeable when he's not, and it doesn't. I'll be honest, it just doesn't feel like he's got the legs the same way he did last year. And the thing with Mitch Marner is he never really starts slow. Like, he's got the legs from the get-go, and I wonder if there's a nagging injury or if there's something going on there, because I'm sorry, anybody that's watched him knows that this is not Mitch Marner's best. It's good. It's very good, but he is very good. I want him to be great, and I've seen him be great. And, there's 60 games left for him to be great.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I'm not trying to make excuses for the Leafs. I just wonder if jet lag is a bit of a factor for some of these guys.
Has jet lag been a part of the reason I say 16 games, though?
Yeah.
Well, yes. So you're correct there. But, one thing I've noticed is go look at how close together all of Ottawa's goals were in the first game.
Yeah.
Then look at how close together all of Detroit's goals were. Then go to the next game, how close together Detroit's 2 goals were and how close together the Leafs' 3 goals were. It's almost like hold it. Oh, okay, sudden moment of inspiration, and they get all their work done. It's got to be difficult to come up with a 60-minute performance, in this specific situation. But the 60-minute performances haven't been there long before.
Yeah,
Stockholm.
We're talking about something that's been happening before Sweden, for sure.
Right, and like another factor in the fact that the Leafs came back, not to switch off of Marner, but the Red Wings, lost Jake Walman, who's he's an underrated player in this league.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a thorn in the side of the Leafs and a few other teams. Seeing that injury, like, I don't know what it's been listed as. I don't know if they've said, but like, the way his back bends, that is not going to be a comfortable ride home. I worry about these guys on their way back home. They mentioned the ride, the flight here didn't do John Klingberg any favors, which is really concerning on account of he has to fly back as well. Oh, I wouldn't want to be Jake Walman flying across the Atlantic with whatever he's got.
The Walman injury, it was sort of everything, because his shoulder goes into the post, then his head is crushed.
It looks horrible.
And then his lower back, obviously, like you mentioned, because his whole body's doing that. And then also his right knee / leg also went sideways into the goal. It was a really, really bad collision with the net there. I felt so bad for him.
Oh, it was the first time I saw the replay, because we're following the puck, right? So, the Leafs think they scored, and we're all paying attention to that. And it was actually, I don't know if you noticed this on the broadcast, but he's down on the ice. The trainer is out there with him. He hasn't moved. The music is blasting throughout the arena.
No,
and everyone's
couldn't
like,
hear that. No.
Don't stop the party. And then it was like 10, 15 seconds of that, and then they turned it off because they're like, oh, like I don't even think the people there realized like, oh, he's messed up.
Yeah.
It was like dark, funny. I mean, and I think it affected the Red Wings. There was a tweet Drew sent that a lot of people didn't really understand. So there's this host named Juice, who, you know, he wears like sunglasses and he's just like a happy-go-lucky guy who I've seen at a few events like this for the NHL. And he just asks everyone funny questions and stuff like that. Second intermission, he asked Dylan Larkin, like, hey, have you learned any Swedish phrases or words or anything like that? And he asked this the night before. And, you know, everyone was fine and accommodating. And Dylan Larkin's just like, I don't know. I'm just here to play hockey.
Oh.
And he said it like that. And it came across as like really rude. Yeah. And we were like, geez, you know, like way to sell the game.
Dylan,
but like, you know,
sell it. Come on, guys.
But now thinking about it, he's the captain of the team. You know, one of his teammates and I'm sure friends goes down with what looks like a fairly serious injury. He probably just wants to. I don't want to be talking about like, you know, how to say, can I go to the bathroom in Swedish? Like I want to get back to the dressing room and make sure my guy's okay.
I get that.
So I think that.
Man, you still got to sell it.
I think that might have affected them.
I know, but you still got to sell it. I'm sorry. Like I do believe. Listen, I don't think his answer would have been a whole lot different if Walman's not in that dressing room uninjured. I don't like if you want to debate me that it will. I just you're not coming from a factual spot.
This is something you're always on, Adam. It's like you got
the game.
You got a 30-second comment for the guy who's just trying to have some fun. You can suck it up and do it.
Yeah.
You're getting paid tens of millions of dollars.
And I understand concern. I totally get it. 1,000% I get the concern. Just say, you know what? I've learned that the Swedish people are great and we're having a really great time. I am a little concerned about my teammate though.
Like, you can do. I'm sure these guys have the right to be like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you have the right to, like, as you're getting off the ice, you know, the media coordinator or whatever can guide you over to him, but the players refuse all the time. I'm not doing it. Get someone else. You know? I don't know.
Yeah. Now listen, I know I'm going to get lit up for that, so I'll just own it. I do think that, you know, if you're the captain of a major franchise, you gotta help sell it a little bit. Injuries do happen in hockey. I know, and I understand. I completely get it. I watched our captain get a knee to the head from Corey Perry, and players have to try to answer questions after that game.
Yeah,
but we gotta sneak it in there for something.
It's hard to talk about the moment because I don't know if it was recorded anywhere. Mm-hmm. And like, I know, so I had a quote from Nylander from a press conference where they asked him about the Stützle goal and he's like, oh, I don't know. I didn't watch it. Mm-hmm. And people were like, you know, well, why is that okay from Willy, but that from Larkin's not okay? And I was like, oh, like no one actually saw either interaction. Like I was there for the Willy press conference. I haven't seen it posted anywhere. Mm-hmm. I was there for the Larkin thing. I haven't seen it posted anywhere. It's just like Willy was like, oh, I didn't see it, and like it was kind of funny, and Larkin like seemed pissed.
Yeah. No, I've seen the Willy press conference. Like that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Where is it?
Like it's I don't know.
Send it to me.
Why?
Why don't we have this conversation after this?
Why do you want that video?
No, send it to me now.
All that said, it was a fun game to watch. It was very entertaining, and yeah. For sure, there's definitely going to be some issues in terms of jet lag and playing at weird times. These NHL players are like creatures of habit. Yeah, I could totally see it messing them up a little bit. Now, I do want to mention a couple of quick things before the one last thing I want to wrap on the Leafs. Are we yay or nay on the blue helmets and white jerseys? Because I am a yay.
Yay. Slam the yay. Yeah, no, it's awesome. They had to get approval from the NHL for that.
Yeah. They got it on Tuesday for the.
Yeah, they couldn't just decide to wear different helmets.
It's weird. I don't know. I'm indifferent. I was talking to somebody at hockey yesterday, and they were like, they at first they were like, oh, this is cool, but then as the game went on, it's a little awkward. And I was like, if it's If it was reversed, like if you had the white helmets with the blue jersey, it would look a little weird too. But I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't mind. I like it. I'm not like over the moon
White
about
with
it,
blue,
but
I wouldn't like.
yeah, I think it's different. It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
I thought it was fun. I like it. You know what? It was like it's so funny because like LA and Vegas are out here wearing fucking shiny helmets. And the Leafs wear like their matte blue one time, and people are like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like their negative reactions for some people. I was like, "What? This looks great. It looks great. Let it go."
That's such a good
looks
point.
Great.
It's
different, and it's interesting. And I don't mind.
I thought it looked great. I thought they looked grand. And you know what? I'd like to see. I've seen the Red Wings do it with their some of their outdoor games and that sort of thing, where they were red helmet, white jersey. I always thought that looked really sharp. So good for them. Now this show is brought to you by BetterHelp, and I this time of year is tough because Halloween's done, and in Canada we've got you don't have any Thanksgiving in between, right? American Thanksgiving's coming up. You got that to look forward to.
It's tumbleweeds, except there are no tumbleweeds, so it's just nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little early to be celebrating Christmas, although some people are out there doing it. Good for them.
This is why I encourage celebrating as early as possible.
The thing that hurts the most, though, is the time change. I can't stand the time change. 4:30, it's dark.
Kids handle it great.
And so here's what we need. My daughter didn't think we were picking her up for school. She got worried. It was wild. I think this time of year is one where you have a minute to go, okay, I've been grinding it out for a couple of months since the summer ended. Maybe I'm not feeling the best. And frankly, when I started going to therapy, it was because I was not in a good place. And usually that's when people try it out. Don't wait for that. Just give it a shot. BetterHelp is great because it matches you with somebody within 48 hours. So there's no big, long 6-week time for a therapist to find an opening. And if you don't like your therapist off the top, they'll match you with a new one really quickly. And you can communicate via text. You can communicate via video call. It can be phone call, whatever works for you.
Would you recommend I sink my feelings into Black Friday deals that aren't really deals, or I go to therapy?
I would suggest therapy.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/STP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/STP. I want to quickly touch on a couple other things. Now, guys, we've paid a lot of attention to the Edmonton Oilers this year. If you look at our game over Edmonton stats, they're through the roof because Oilers fans are like, "What's going on?" One player,
they're into the drama for sure.
Well, for sure. Well, one player that's really taken a lot of interest is Jack Campbell. With the Oilers, he played 5 games. He had an .873 save percentage and a .450 goals against average. He's gone down to Bakersfield. And by the way, the AHL is not an easy league. So whenever people say, should have no problem there, it's not. No, the A is not fucking easy, guys. It's still a very good hockey league.
He's not playing the GTHL.
Yeah, this is, I know they're NHL players and I know they're a step up, but fucking give me a break.
No, the guys are trying.
Jack Campbell has a .436 goals against average and an .819 save percentage. He has allowed 13 goals in 3 appearances.
I just this isn't sometimes a guy leaves your team and you sort of root against them a little bit.
Not Jack.
No,
not Jack. And for all his warts that he played with when he was in Toronto, it was never this.
No.
It was never this. So whatever's going on there, you feel for him. What's going to get lost in the Jack Campbell narrative is, I know Stuart Skinner's won the last few games. Campbell statistically, when he was sent down, was the better goalie between him and Stuart Skinner. Between him and Stuart Skinner, he was the better goalie, and he got sent down because you put Skinner on waivers, he probably gets claimed. You put Campbell on waivers, he probably doesn't. So, the Oilers, it's a calculated risk. The calculated risk for the betterment of Jack Campbell, right? They're going to send him down to Bakersfield. He's going to play a lot of games. They've been playing the wheels off him. They're trying to get his confidence up. And it's gone in the other direction. It's not like Calvin Pickard. I misunderstood the Calvin Pickard recall. I thought they called him up because he's been great in Bakersfield and they want to give him a shot. as far as I know, like, has he played yet? Maybe one game?
No.
No, I don't remember him getting into a game since Knobloch's been up or anything.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think he has.
Even if it's one game, like he's been up for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you should give it a shot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this was done for the betterment of Jack Campbell, and it's had the complete opposite effect, obviously, because it's one thing to perform poorly in the National Hockey League. Now he's performing poorly in the American League.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for this player.
Well, and
like,
it's a position that is so much between the ears, and we know that that's something that Jack is very. And if anybody's hard on Jack, it's Jack, right? And almost too hard. Even when the Leafs used to win, and he'd be like, "Well, I just played terribly."
Yeah, and
like, dude, you can't do that to yourself.
Just
to the
checking
point
on
where
it.
it was annoying.
Yeah,
like you would hear him
for Pickard, by the way.
No starts for Pickard.
Yeah,
like that's surprising. Like based on what we thought was going on when that decision was made, we were like, okay, they're going to get Campbell some reps in the minors, and they're going to give Pickard a shot because Skinner's been awful.
Yeah,
and what has happened is Skinner's been playing, Oilers have been winning. And, Pickard's just sitting there. But meanwhile, in Bakersfield, Campbell's getting just lit up like a Christmas tree. And, like, some of these goals aren't his fault. Others, it's like, oh, my God. Like, how much for a save?
Yeah.
It's getting tough, man.
Another story from the AHL. Alex Nedeljkovic.
No. Let's not move off the Oilers.
Oh, you don't want to move about the Oilers? What do you want to say about the Oilers?
Today is a very important day.
Why is that, Jesse?
We are about 3 hours from when we are recording this right now from Connor Brown skating in his 10th game of the year. He had a full practice, and he is going to play this afternoon. They're playing an afternoon game. And with his 10th game for the Edmonton Oilers, Connor Brown will kick in a $3.225 million cap hit against the Oilers for next season when he is not signed through past this season. There's a bonus against their salary cap that is officially on the books this afternoon.
As I said to
fascinating.
As I said to Steve and Jesse in our group chat, it looks like the Leafs, have fired Ken Holland. Like they're gonna get him fired. He
gets to just play out the season. He's not coming back after this year. And he's gonna retire.
I wondered though, is that a Ken Holland signing or is that a Jeff Jackson, Connor McDavid signing?
Well, it's both.
Well, yeah,
Jeff Jackson was his agent.
Yeah. Jeff Jackson negotiated the deal with Ken Holland, and then Jeff Jackson took the CEO job.
Ken Holland negotiated this deal with a guy who, like, a month later became his boss.
I know. It's crazy.
Yep.
And now it's on the books for 3.5 or whatever.
Yep.
Now, according to some Oilers writers, Connor Brown, even though he didn't have the points, he was playing well until the injury. So,
yeah. He was shuffled around the lineup so much that I can't say whether he's had a good start or not. Like, and they've been so bad. Like, how can you say he's been good and he earns that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know who else was hurt? The guy who they played him with, Connor McDavid. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I know this is a bit of a cap nightmare for them potentially down the road, but I think people aren't realizing, there's a pretty good chance Connor Brown plays really well for them, right? Like, it's not a given. I don't know if he's going to score 20 goals again or put up 40 points again, but like, is he going to keep the vibes good? Is he going to play good defensively? Is he going to potentially kill penalties? If someone gets injured, is he going to be able to play higher up in the lineup? Like, I think there's a pretty solid chance this works out for them. It's just next year, but we know that the Oilers aren't terribly fussed about next year right now.
I don't like how these two situations have played out with Skinner and with Connor Brown, in that Jeff Jackson and Ken Holland have given these two players a long runway to figure things out. And with Jay Woodcroft, it was, we're getting rid of you because we have our guy that we want to bring in. And the same kind of leash wasn't given to him. And that now that we see that the team's kind of just like, getting back to it, that it was never like, none of this is Jay Woodcroft's fault. Like, Chris Knoblauch didn't go in there and magically they're better now. This is the same team, and Connor Brown gets to play the rest of the season, and he's gonna earn that bonus. And Stuart Skinner gets to figure it out on the NHL level and never miss a start. And Jay Woodcroft is now sitting at home when he's a very good head coach. And it's weird to me that you're operating your business like that.
Do you guys also find
It's funny because coaches do this to goalies all the time, though. They'll pull a goalie just to wake their team up, and then when goalies get coaches fired, completely. And like, should the Oilers have needed to fire Jay Woodcroft in order to turn it around? No, but you have to admit, the moment they fired him, they turned it around.
Yeah,
I feel like they would have turned it around anyway.
From the moment they made the decision to fire him. Yeah, the moment they made the decision to fire him, because they fired him in their minds, like, the game before he was fired.
The San Jose game. Yeah.
He won his last game. Not a lot of coaches win their final game with their team. Mm-hmm. You know, the ones who retire do. You know, this is, I don't know. It's the Oilers, I'm just going to say, look an awful lot like the team we thought they were.
Yeah. No, the reports were that he was fired basically from the San Jose game, and they needed to figure out the logistics through the Saturday game that he ended up winning, and then he gets fired on the Sunday. But like, we've heard that he was even fired after that Winter Classic game. If they had lost that game, then it would probably have been like a Monday firing, and then they figure out the Chris Knoblauch piece. So yeah, he's been fired for a while. It was
like the sixth game of the season.
Yeah, they were ready. They were ready. If they hadn't won that game, he would have been fired.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no, it's a shame, right? It's bizarre. Some team is going to benefit hugely from Jay Woodcroft being available. Let's put it that way. And it'll probably happen before the end of the season.
And Edmonton is good, and they're going to play good.
Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be fine.
I don't know about that.
I think they make the playoffs.
It's real. The stats do not back it up. Like, I'm just betting on percentages, so I'm going to say no.
Wow, really?
Yeah. But it's gonna. Stop. They're gonna play.
Stats don't apply to the Oilers.
That's true.
They don't apply to that one team
of the season. But who knows if they can squeak it?
So I want to ask you guys this. You've obviously seen the Hartford jerseys that the Carolina Hurricanes will be wearing again this year. And by the way, I think the jerseys themselves, if we were to just rate the jerseys, they're high quality. They look spectacular, right? Just the jerseys. Just looking at the Hartford jerseys, right? The Whaler jerseys. You've seen them, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Jesse, though, has a bone to pick with the Carolina Hurricanes about this, right?
I do.
What is it?
I do have a bone to pick. I think it is sacrilegious to wear the jerseys of a city that you took the team from. Like, I feel like you shouldn't, like, the Memphis Grizzlies shouldn't wear Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys.
And they've done that, haven't they?
They have. I think they've done that one time.
And by the way, because the Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys are better than what the Memphis Grizzlies jerseys are.
No, one of the best jerseys of all time, those 90s, that 90s look. I think the Hartford Whalers jersey should have stayed in Hartford. Like, the team moved from there. Those fans, like, that's their team. Yeah. Things should stay with the cities. It doesn't make sense to me that Carolina is taking these jerseys and making all this money off them for a franchise that is not theirs. They don't get Hartford Whalers. Like, I don't think it applies. So it'd be weird if the Arizona Coyotes decide to wear Winnipeg Jets throwbacks.
Well, it's a little bit like if cows could talk and you were trying to explain the delicious meal that you had at the keg last night. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, no, you killed that team.
Yep.
And now you're wearing it on your body. but devil's advocate, those reverse retros for the Avalanche slapped. And those were just maroon Nordiques jerseys.
Yes.
Do it.
Those were just Nordiques jerseys.
They did slap, Steve.
They did the same thing.
You know what would slap?
And I don't
Putting
like
a team in Quebec. That would slap. And I'm not saying that Hartford has the corporate sponsorships to support an NHL team anymore. The reality is that the Whalers franchise existed in a time where economically things were different. Teams didn't cost as much, players didn't cost as much, and they still probably don't have the sponsorship dollars to put an NHL team in Hartford. That's why you never hear them coming up. But where do you hear it? You hear it Atlanta, you hear Houston, you hear Kansas City, and you hear fuck you, Canada. And so I think...
Yes, you do.
I think Jesse has a point. Here's what I think. You can make and sell those jerseys. I would love for the NHL to
wear
sell
'em, though.
Kansas City Scouts jerseys at the NHL store. I would love that. California Golden Seals jerseys. Love that. But don't wear them on the ice.
Don't wear them.
In Carolina when it's a Massachusetts thing, right?
Well,
Connecticut?
they usually wear them against the Bruins.
Connecticut.
Yeah, they usually wear them against the Bruins, which is a really like it's all very confusing to me. And the Hurricanes are just like, yeah, but it looks real cute. So I think we're gonna keep doing it.
Like, I don't even think I'd have a problem if the Hurricanes were in charge of selling it too.
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Like, even if they're the ones selling it, obviously
it's theirs.
it's theirs. Like, they own the rights to it and all that stuff. I think just the wearing it on the ice thing is the thing that irks me, because it's not your franchise, it's not your team. Like, that belongs to the people of Hartford and the Whalers fans who lost their team. And I think it's weird that you're gonna wear the jersey.
What degree do you need to become a member of the Fun Police?
I don't know. It depends, honestly. It depends on the category. Really? Why, you think that Jesse's a member of the fun police? People are having too much fun. Jesse's ruining it. Oh. So you like it, Steve?
You're a fan?
No, I just think, like, I don't know. I'm not from Hartford, so I cannot find it in me to get mad about it. But like, I totally understand why they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just think about all the fallen teams that we see, and like, if the Washington Nationals wear Expos throwback jerseys, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Like,
but they don't.
leave that in Montreal.
Yeah.
So,
But they don't, because
Well, no, apparently, no. If you take a Quebec team, you get a pass.
Oh yeah, totally fine. They won't even know. They don't even speak the same language. Like, that's sort of how they treat it.
They would. By the way, Drew and I have been talking about this. Do you know how stupid we feel knowing only one language?
Mm-hmm.
I have not encountered a person who doesn't speak English yet in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't a lot
Like,
of the
they
signs
are-
in English too? Like, aren't a lot of the, like, it's like Swedish and English everywhere?
Well, like, a lot of the signs in the hotel are like, almost all of them are English, because they're like, we know dumbass tourists visit here and they don't know how to speak. So
Yeah.
and I'm like, you are correct. Thank you for that.
No, when I was in Europe for the first time last summer, it's something you realize that everybody in Europe speaks multiple languages, and you're like, oh, just us in North America are stupid. Outside of Quebec, obviously, where they're
stupid.
bilingual, but like the rest of us, we're just dumb idiots who speak one language, but the rest of the world speaks multiple languages.
Yeah.
And we need to catch up.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I'm starting to feel really stupid.
we as a concept, I'm sticking with English. I respect anybody that can speak multiple languages, and that's amazing. But as a function of my life living in a predominantly English society, I don't really need to. But if you're Swedish and, a few kilometers next door, it's Norway, and a few kilometers the other way, it's Finland. And then, below that, it's Germany and Poland. Yeah, I can see how you might need to speak a few different languages. I get it.
We should have a challenge on the show. We should all try and learn French or something.
I took that challenge in high school.
Who can learn a language the fastest?
Yeah. Well, we'll bring Duolingo on as a sponsor.
Yeah,
And then-
Duolingo, reach out. We'll all get behind
Let's
that.
do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
If I have to conjugate any more verbs in French, I'm going to be upset. I am done with the conjugate. Listen, if you speak French, good for you. The conjugation's got to stop. You got to stop this.
What about like Spanish?
Spanish is a beautiful
Or like
language.
Mandarin.
A very useful language.
Yeah. All right.
That's useful. You want to do international business, you better learn some Mandarin.
All right, we're learning a language.
Let's do it.
2024.
I will say, I think Swedish would be a good one for us, because we went to a coffee place, Espresso House, and there was an item on the menu called Vorm Chocolad, and I knew what it was, even though I didn't speak the language. So.
Have you seen those memes about German?
German and Dutch.
Yeah, about how they'll like say,
With like this 6-syllable word. There's a few of those here.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's something about on every parking garage there's a sign that says infart.
I like that.
And I don't know what it means, but it tickles me pink.
My wife's Dutch, so I love to make fun of Dutch things. Like, I love to have fun with. So I just looked up 10 funny Dutch phrases that translate directly into English.
Okay.
So, so for instance, hitting 2 flies with 1 strike. Twee vliegen and 1 klapslaan.
That's wonderful. That's excellent.
And then there's like, I don't know why anybody would say this. Now comes the monkey out of the sleeve. I guess this is a Dutch phrase. Nu komt die... Oh, forget it. I can't even do it.
Yeah, thank you.
This bit might not be working.
There is...
Dude, that's being an adult. Is just going, nope, pulling the emergency chute.
Here's one. Now breaks...
Safely floating back to Earth.
Now breaks my wooden shoe. Nu breek het, moon klomp.
No, you're not allowed to quit the bit and then pick it back
All
up.
right, sorry.
No.
I just looked it
dead.
up. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared.
It's dead. This isn't Weekend at Bernie's.
I wasn't
dead.
prepared. Do we have any questions that we want to get to? Are we doing a press conference today?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Unless you want me to ask some, I can definitely.
Yeah, we can pull some up. If you
Okay,
need.
I can do that.
Swedish question. Steve, my first question is for you. Okay. What is your impression of Stockholm, one of the most historic and beautiful cities in Europe?
Man, first of all, is the person who invented the Toronto subway system still alive? And can I throw hands with them immediately? Stockholm has something like 20 lines. It's convenient. It's easy to get to. Jesse, remember we were in New Jersey and I had to type in like a friggin' zip code in order to just purchase a ticket to ride the subway?
That was the worst experience.
You know what you have to do in Stockholm?
Lives.
It was one of the worst. It took like 20 tries, and
Steve was so pissed. It was hilarious.
Why? That seems like something Steve would be super patient about.
Well, and like if I was wondering, I'm like, am I physically capable of hopping a turnstile? Still am. Turns out, like, so I tried to give them money. I tried very hard actually to give them money, and they wouldn't take it. So. Yeah. Fuck off, I guess.
It's easier to
but
just
here, you know
illegally get on the subway than to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they do? Beep. Drew and I downloaded an app, and you can purchase tickets on the app. And I was telling CJ about it, and he's like, oh, you don't even need to do that. You just put your credit card in the thing. Next day I did it. Beep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Wow.
You put your credit card, beep, and you can get anywhere in friggin' Stockholm. Mm-hmm. It's a million times better than what we have in Toronto and New Jersey, as it turns out. But I can't think of anywhere else. Like the whole metro system in New York is wonderful and intricate. But like, let me buy a fucking ticket, you weirdos.
So we do have that in Toronto.
Postal code.
What do we
zip
have?
Code.
So Steve, we do have that in Toronto now. If you get on a TTC bus and you want to just get on and pay, you can use a credit card and just tap the Presto reader.
Oh,
but the thing that
unfortunately,
go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, what we don't have is a subway system worth using.
That's true. Yeah, and it takes 10 years to build one subway stop in Ontario as well.
And the thing,
Adam, we grew up in Scarborough. It's a 20-minute drive to the nearest subway station. The fuck am I driving to the subway for?
Well, they're trying to make that. They're trying to make that. They're trying to change that right now. But because we are so overloaded with bureaucracy and people just don't give a shit. That we were supposed to get 3 new subway stops in Scarborough. They're like, that's too much work. Let's just do 1. So they're doing 1.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
good.
Jesse, go. What were you going to say, Jesse?
Oh no, it was just about the Presto system.
Do it.
But we didn't have that, and then they established it now. It's all good.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Well, and you got to load your card. Your card runs out.
I was hoping
and then you beep it, and you don't have enough money on it. And no, let me just beep my fucking credit card. What do I need your stupid thing for?
So let me get to some questions.
Okay, good.
Yeah, let me get to some questions.
Sorry.
This is from Walking Tiger. No question. Sorry, mods. But I want to take a moment to say how awesome it was that Steve and producer Drew took the time at the game to meet with people. Despite the game going on, some fans were quite enthusiastic after a few beers, and they handled it amazingly. It wasn't unnoticed. They were so kind. Big thanks to those two. And there's a great picture all inserted into the pod here of you guys meeting a whole bunch of fans.
I love that.
Yeah, so many Leafs jerseys.
Yeah, we don't have a photo. Or maybe Drew does, of the full crowd that came. So like we said for the Leaf game, like, hey, meet us outside of this section or whatever. We did that for the Sens Red Wings game, and there were a number of people there. I don't know how many, but there were a lot of people, and I was like, wow, I didn't expect to get this sort of turnout in Stockholm. It was how many, Drew? 50, 100 people? Yeah, at intermission. He thinks it was 150 or 200. Like, is like I don't know. What do you say? Like, they chanted Dangle, and I don't know why, but my instinct was to put my face in my sweater.
Because, how do you react to that? It's weird, right? I mean,
how do you react to the well? And the locals are looking at the people who work at the arena are like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
you know. So that was a special experience, man, and like so many people from the UK and Poland and Austria and Germany and Czechia. I got a Kladno scarf from someone who Kladno is Jaromir Jagr's team, and it was a really I don't know, how do you process that? How do you process meeting that many people at once, and you know, being excited to see you? And it was special. And then after the game, we're setting up for the LFR, and I saw out of the corner of my eye like one or two people. And then, you know, Drew's, you know, fiddling with a couple more buttons or whatever, and we're about to go, and I got my microphone, and I look behind me, and there's like 24 people, 36, you just watching me do the LFR live outside in Stockholm. And, you know, it wasn't lost on me that, you know, this was something that I started in 2007 when I had to do morning after videos, not just because I had a night job, but also my parents slept across the hall, you know? So it's I don't know. How do you process that? It was pretty cool.
Funner question. This is from Sir Digby Chicken Caesar. The unthinkable. This is on our Discord, by the way. Go to sdpn.ca and join us on Discord. The unthinkable has happened. Does Snoop Dogg quitting the Devil's Lettuce mean we are truly in end of times? So Snoop Dogg posted yesterday that he is stopping. He is giving up smoke, as he tweeted. After much consideration and conversation with my family, I've decided to give up smoke. Please respect my privacy at this time. And a lot of people speculated that he is now launching a line of edibles with Martha Stewart.
Yes.
Because he's giving up smoking, and now it's going to be about eating it. But what do you guys think of the end of the days, as Sir Digby says it?
Steve, you want to take this one?
I mean, if someone... Sure. Yeah, if someone's got a vice and they don't want to do it anymore, I think you should respect them and celebrate it, you know? But, like, he didn't specify whether or not he was done just smoking. Like, it'd be funny if he's like, yeah, I'm not going to smoke weed anymore, and we're all like, yay, I'm just going to eat all of it. Oh.
Well, it'd be a great publicity stunt, wouldn't it?
It sure would be. I mean, it worked. We're all talking about Snoop Dogg. It's 2023. You know, I don't remember when Doggy Style came out, but it wasn't recently. You know, he's been culturally relevant for like 3-4 decades at this point. You know, I don't know. I've always been a guy who hated smoking. Like, I've tried it with the Devil's Lettuce, but like I can't even be in a room. Like, I can't even be around people who are smoking that are smoking.
Is that because you're better than them?
Because of my dainty little lungs. It's because I'm better than them and I judge them. No, I don't give a shit if people smoke. I literally, my little you know, delicate flower petal lungs can't handle it. Mm-hmm. So I have delicious gummies, which are A, delicious, and B, very fun. So I've never really understood the whole smoking it thing when you can just do anything else.
Well, the smoking it thing happens faster. It goes right in. You get it right away.
I know it happens faster, but yeah. I don't know. I'm patient. I'm not like I need to be high right away. Like I don't know. I can wait like 20 minutes for the gummies to hit.
This is a trade proposal from Cajun. Who says no? Toronto or Nashville? You get William Nylander and Ilya Samsonov for Roman Josi and UC Saros.
Oh,
Oh shit.
Well, Nashville says no.
Oh shit.
Nashville says no. Nashville says no.
Ooh.
Absolutely, Nashville says no.
I don't see
UC
why
Saros
Nashville would
in
agree to
anything.
that.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
As soon as you said Willy, I'm like, you're not going to turn me on this, and then you did. Okay, well, Samsonov is like, he's recovered. He's been good the last couple of games, but he's like far and away the worst player in that deal.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a perennial Norris contender, albeit on the back nine of his career, and UC Saros, who's currently like a top 5 goalie in the league. And then there's Willy.
Yeah.
Who the Preds, and they're going to hate this part. They got to pay him money. And like more money than Philip Forsberg. Nashville would never, ever, ever agree to that deal. And that's one of the only Nylander trade proposals I've ever heard where the Leafs, I think, drive him to the airport. I love him. He's one of the best players in the world right now. Goodbye.
Yeah. We'll take UC. Thanks.
Do you want to end on one kind of out of left field question?
Yes.
We'll end on this from Sketch. If you hypothetically had unlimited funds to teach science, what cool thing would you buy for your high school general science classroom?
So you were teaching science in high school.
Yeah.
And you could buy anything.
And we're saying your budget for your science class this semester, Mr. Wild, teacher of grade 11 science, you get to choose the course, the topic, and everything. Here's unlimited money. What are you teaching your grade 11 students?
First off, I think I stopped taking science after grade 10. So
Me too.
This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, first off, it's got to be biology. Because of the 3 sciences offered in Ontario schools, which are physics, or no, it's physics, it's chemistry, and then it's biology, right? Those are the 3
wrong
sciences.
People.
If I'm teaching physics, I'm buying a Formula One car. I'm buying a Formula One car, and we're talking about why aerodynamics and all that stuff matter. I think that's
a really cool answer,
right? If I'm doing biology, I want them.
You're just going to drive it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I want to say this car is fast, but why? But why?
Adam's just there for the zip line.
Yeah.
You're doing I think you should leave bit.
Yeah.
You're
100%.
just there for the zip line.
Yeah.
Oh,
100%. I already told you I wasn't great at science. So physics, that's what I would, because you really can break down a car by component. You could do an entire year on why does the front wing matter? Why does the back wing matter? What's downforce?
I don't think that's science class. I think you're teaching car mechanics.
I didn't ask them to
You
fix
could just do that with a Honda Civic.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
No, you can't because they're not fast. They got to be really fast, like world-beating fast. You're saying unlimited funds? You think I'm going to buy a Civic?
The principal comes to you and he's like, I know we gave you unlimited dollars, but why did you spend $40 billion?
It makes a great answer on a podcast. Let's you know what? Why not a Toyota Tercel? I mean, really, they're only $10,000. What's the big deal? I think in biology, you got to get something that's like a living biome.
A human.
You got to have like some sort of like really big, not aquarium. What do they call it? The terrarium, where it's like there's an ecosystem within it. So there's predators, there's prey, and there's features that like simulate thunderstorms.
They already have that.
Do they?
It's called forgetting a sandwich in a locker and going and getting it 6 months later.
Good point.
They already have that.
Adam, Steve's being very critical of your answer.
I know what
he's got to come up with one next.
You guys go ahead. Since I'm and chemistry, I don't fucking know. I don't know enough about chemistry. Something that blows up. That'd be great.
No, your F1 answer is like really ingenious.
Thank you.
That's fun.
Thank you.
Teaching
it's
aerodynamics
funny
with an F1 car.
No, I'm just picturing Adam driving it on the track at Mowat, like our high school, and just absolutely flooring it, tearing it up.
Yeah, for sure.
He's here for the zip line.
Those are the best teachers, by the way.
You stayed at work until 11:30 p.m. last night, and you just drove the car. You haven't marked and handed back any papers in 6 months.
Just show up.
You're
just show up.
I would get a telescope the size of the school and put it on the roof.
That'd be cool.
And I would have what's that called? An observatory.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a giant observatory, and we would learn about the entire universe and space
Ooh.
We'd have the best space program in the region.
So it's like it's on a little
The
bit
Scarborough
like Hogwarts.
Space Program. Yes. Exactly like that, except with none of the magic. So actually not like it at all.
Okay, fair enough. Jesse, what about you? What would you do?
Steve, you thought a little too small. I am teaching a space class by going to space.
Unlimited funds here, people.
Unlimited funds. I'm building a rocket ship.
Oh,
We are going
why did
to
I get a
outer
telescope?
space. You got a telescope when I
rocket
just
ship.
bought a friggin' rocket ship. We're doing our class from the moon for the entire semester. That is what I would do.
And-
I like
and
that.
get
Bring man back to the moon.
Get one in the shape of a dick and like don't actually go to space. Just go to like the edge of it and tell everyone you went to space.
Was-
And then laugh
Hold on,
like a
Jeff
friggin' Bond
Bezos
villain.
edging space.
Yeah, just gonna. Maybe he was, and you heard his maniacal laugh on the thing too when he had his
Did he
cowboy
just
hat on.
edge the universe?
By the way, did you see Jeff Bezos?
Bezos asked space if it finished and it didn't. Yeah.
Was that good for you, space?
Yeah, for sure. Turns over.
Did you guys see his picture, his engagement pictures? By the way, with his,
I don't want to see it.
Have you seen it with the?
Yes. What an incredibly weird human being.
I think the funniest tweet I saw about that was like, "Hey, my wife and I saw you from across the bar, and we really like your vibe. Can we buy you a drink?" Like, yeah, they kind of come across as that, you know, a little bit of the swinger. Oh, you haven't seen it? So he's in a pickup truck. He's got a cowboy hat on, and she is reached over. Like, so the pickup truck is facing this way, and so is he, and the door's open, and she's reached over the other way with her arms around him, like that.
Okay.
Can't even hear you, Adam.
Hold on.
No,
Jeff?
I don't want to see it.
No, you
I don't
now
want to
you
see it.
No.
I don't want to see it. We're ending the show.
Hey,
I can't hit the
do you
button.
guys know what do you guys know what Jeff Bezos recently said about himself?
What?
It doesn't matter what age he is, he's in his prime.
Oh.
Nah, hey, ooh.
Boo. All right, let's end it. It's over. Steve, have a great
It's over.
rest of the time.
Ooh, tucks the mute kit, Adam.
What is that?
Means thank you.
Thank you thank you very much.
How am I don't know that. We just had a whole half an hour discussion about languages.
What? Jesse, you've spent the last 3 days in Sweden.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.